Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast, powered by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives veterans, active duty military members, mil spouses, military family members, and patriotic military supporters a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has helped them in their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Johnny Aragon, who is a 5-year U.S. Navy veteran who served aboard the USS Antietam and USS Cowpens at Naval Base San Diego. He was an IT in the Navy where he deployed twice out to sea, visiting a few countries in Asia and the Pacific Islands. After his service, he enrolled at California State University, Los Angeles, where he majored in computer information systems and a minor in finance. After graduating from CSULA, he earned his real estate license and enrolled at the University of Southern California, eventually earning an MBA while working in real estate for his current brokerage at Caldwell Banker Realty in Pasadena, California. In the past decade, he's been involved with a few veteran nonprofit organizations, including Team Red, White, and Blue, The Mission Continues, and his current membership with American Legion's Post 283. Hi, Johnny. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. I'm excited for our discussion today. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Tracy. Good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm good. I'm
Thank
great. Yeah. And thank you so much for your service, sir. I really
you.
appreciate, your 5-year naval career. That's really amazing.
Thank you.
Um, so I would like to ask you along that same line, what inspired you to join the Navy?
Yeah, so at 18 years old, it was the funniest thing. I was in high school, and this was 2008, so I'm dating myself now, right? Um, they
All
came to the high
right.
school. Yeah, they came to the high school, and I was taking a regional occupation program class, which I don't know if they still have that in SoCal, but it was basically learning like,
Mm,
basic trades like how to like do cashier work or, how to run a business. It was really cool. The class said, oh, the Navy people are here. They're doing like some displays. So long story short, I put my name on a card that they had. I didn't think nothing of it. A couple of days later, the recruiter comes to the house, and my mom's like, "Oh, are you interested in Navy?" I said, "Well, I just put my name down, but you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea. Graduate high school, and why not? Let's do it." And I loved everything that they said. I said, "This is going to be a good opportunity to grow as a person." And my mom had a good friend, and I knew him too. He was a Marine at the time. He was deployed to Afghanistan twice, so I think it was a good idea. I'm so glad I did it when I did.
wow. Wow. So, is there a particular aspect or moment from your service that stood out to you as impactful in a positive way?
So, a couple of things stood out. I think the one was when we were going to my first deployment in Asia. So, I had to fly to Hong Kong and getting to meet all the people. It was a cultural adjustment, but honestly, it was a blessing because I got to meet people from all over the world and from all over the nation too. And it was also a lot of like small world situations. Like one guy actually knew my cousin from Southern California. I actually grew up in Hemet, California, Riverside County. It's about an hour north of San Diego.
Okay.
And this guy, he actually lived like next to my cousin or went to high school with him. It was something like that. And I was like, oh my God, you know him? And because we had the same last name. So it was a very small world thing. A friend from high school ended up joining with me. So there was a couple moments where I'm like, well, I'm not alone. And another thing too was when we went to Japan in 2013, we were doing a hull swap. That was also a major event. That was also the year that I actually was getting out of the Navy. But it was cool to actually explore Japan more at that time and really seeing how I've grown in those last couple of years of my service. From the first time I went there, going to Asia after boot camp and A school and just, the growth that took place, right? I think that was pretty significant. And I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that.
Yeah. That's really neat. So you actually deployed twice out to sea, right? So you lived on the ship, right? And I've spoken to a few Navy veterans I've had, and one of them in particular, his podcast, he's actually a JDog franchise owner, and he loved ship life. He said that he used to go out on the carrier in the middle of the night and like lay down and look up at the sky. And he
Oh,
said the stars were just incredible because, you're out at sea, there's no pollution, there's nothing blocking it. So, did you
yes.
enjoy that experience or what did you think of ship life?
It was an adjustment at first. I had to grow my sea legs. I think we were leaving Hong Kong, and within the first 5 days, I actually got seasick, and that was like a first.
Oh God. Oh no.
But see, like Davy Jones says, you grow your sea legs. So that was pretty interesting. But
Right.
no, it's true. Like your friend said, he saw the sea. It was the same thing. Like there were times actually we didn't really go outside because I was in IT and we did a lot of internal work and we had long hours. But there were times
Right.
where I would go outside and even during the day, it's like this whole vastless, endless ocean. And unless you're a navigator, I didn't even know what direction we were in. I don't know where we were heading to next necessarily. It was really interesting, like just to see
Wow.
the sphere of the world and just this blue ocean everywhere. And at night, yeah, it was very starry. You're absolutely right. It was just, it's incredible. And it kind of reminded me also when I went to Key West last year for a little brief trip. Same thing. It was night sky. You're out of the city, out of Miami, and it's just like, wow, everything's out here. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really is.
Right. Right. Wow. That's really neat. Um, so okay, so you get out of the service, you're transitioning, you go to school, and so now you're a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker. And how did that come about?
Oh yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was working at a school in Koreatown. This is after undergrad at Cal State LA. And my friend Nick, he's actually a broker owner in Glendale, California. And he said, I got along with him very well, really good guy. And he said, hey, Johnny, have you thought about getting into real estate? Because at the time I was trying to apply to USC and UCLA for an MBA program. And those are major schools in Los Angeles, right? Who doesn't want to go to UCLA or
Right.
USC?
Yeah.
And and
Sure.
he's like, this would be really good for your career if you actually got into real estate and you got your license. And he had an MBA himself, I think from University of Phoenix. And I said, sure, why not? He encouraged me and I did the classes. And at the time, I was applying to grad school and I did get in and I actually got my real estate license just 1 month before we started our pre-fall at USC in 2018. So it was interesting because a lot of stuff was happening. I was transitioning careers, and a lot of people in my program were like switching careers, right? Like maybe two-thirds of them were. Others were just trying to advance in
Right.
their careers. So it was really nice to be around a group of professionals at USC. A lot of great friends I still talk to this day, even in the Navy too. It kind of reminded me of being in the Navy, having the camaraderie of everybody, right? I respect everybody
Right.
for that reason alone. Inspire me to do my best, and that was the thing that I liked about it. So I got employed at Coldwell Banker. I was actually an employee with my manager Lori Ramirez, who is still my manager to this day. Love her to death. She brought me on board, and I had been out of job for 3 months. And I said, okay, let me interview at a couple real estate firms. And she interviewed me and really liked me and hired me. And it's been, I've been there ever since for the last almost more than 5 years, actually. It's time has flown when you have
Wow,
fun.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But you have a special certification.
Mhm.
So I would like to learn more about that. So you're certified as a military relocation professional. What does that mean? Can you talk to me a little bit about how important that is and how that really impacts the veteran and military community?
Absolutely. So being an MRP, that is through the National Association of Realtors. So a lot of realtors can get the certification. You don't have to be ex-military. You don't have to be, have a family that was in the military or a reservist. But I do encourage everyone to get it if you're a real estate agent throughout the nation because it does give you
Okay.
the tools to know how to work with the military veteran community. Um, I have a booklet that they gave us, really handy dandy booklet, and a lot of it talks about timelines, right? So when we're in real estate, actually right now in this property that I'm in, it's actually one of the properties I'm in escrow in for my buyer client. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's timelines involved, right? So contingency periods, and especially with the
Sure.
military, As you know, they have specific times that they need to move station to station, whether it's a seller client or a buyer client. Us as MRPs, we have to realize, hey, our time is of the essence, right? How do we get the property prepared if they're selling
Right.
or when they're buying a property, right? They have family that's moving from another state. We have to coordinate, inspections. We have to coordinate closing times, right? Movers. It's a lot of stuff. But I totally understand that. Having been in the military, and even though I'm not married and wasn't married then, I understand that when you have a family, it's a lot of work and it can be a lot of stress. But my goal
It
as a real estate
is.
professional, it is to be that, to mitigate and minimize that disruption because it is disrupting of your normal life, right? If you're military or veteran, even like it disrupts your normal life, even when you're buying. It's just like you have to go out of your way to like attend inspections. You have to sign loan documents. You have to go, talk to the lender about appraisals, all that, right? It adds up time. I'm sure Tracy. You
Yeah.
tell me you bought a house,
I
you know,
know. Yeah.
right? It was a lot of like
Recently. Yeah. Yeah.
regulations. So yeah, it's a lot of work, right? It's how that goes. But what we're
Yeah,
there
it
for.
is.
We're there to have that special understanding and that training and that certification goes a long way because a lot of times a lot of civilians don't always know that. And you have to know about
Right.
BAH, like basic allowance for housing, for example, right? Every city has its
Right.
own
Yeah.
rate. And I had renter clients at one point that were wanting to buy, but the BAH, I had to include that information to the landlord's agent because a lot of times they just look at the basic pay and it looks very little, but it's not actually. You have basic allowance for housing, they have dependents, right? The Department of Defense does a very good
Right.
job of actually posting that every year. And you can use that on lenders will always look at that when you're getting a VA loan if you're active duty. They always want to look at that. But aside from that, if you're renting in the meantime until you find a property, we use that chart so that the
Sh-
landlord is
Sure.
educated and aware, hey, this person is getting basic allowance for housing on top of their pay. And they're good candidates. Our military, they're very responsible people. They're fighting for a country. Let's help them out, right?
Right. Yeah. So you actually also kind of help them through the VA loan process. Like if
Mhm.
maybe if they're a first time home buyer as a veteran, you kind of help them navigate that VA loan process and putting that into play. Is correct?
Correct. Yeah. And depending on the state, I know in California, they definitely require a termite inspection. I don't know how it is in Pennsylvania, if that was still required. I think in like
Yeah,
Alaska
it
and
is.
it is, right? Okay. Yeah, because I know some northern states don't require it, but everything is subject to change. So anything I
Hmm.
say can change by the, Department of Real Estate or NARs.
Sure.
They can
Sure.
always change it. But aside from that, too,
Yeah.
if you're buying a property that has a septic tank or a water well, the VA does require those tests to be done and certifications to be completed on both
Hmm.
those aspects. Here in Los Angeles, we don't tend to have hardly any water well properties, but we do have a termite problem in a lot of the city
Oh gosh. Okay.
throughout the county because it's an older county, it's an older city, so you're going to expect to have termites, right? So we always like to ask the
Right.
seller to help us out and say, listen, this is a veteran buyer or this is a military buyer, you know, have the termite taken care of right before escrow closes, right? And have the certification done. We do have some septic
Right.
properties in LA, believe it or not, in the city of La Cañada, which is a very nice neighborhood.
Oh wow.
They have some
Yeah.
septic tanks still. There are some areas in La Cañada that can't get certified because certain mountains, the way the slope of a mountain is, they can't always certify them. I know an agent had
Sure.
something recently that I heard about. So things like that. That's why you always have to have a local realtor know this type of stuff, right? Because that can make a difference of whether
Yeah.
you can get a loan on it or not, right? If you're
Sure.
buying a
Sure.
property, yeah, if you're buying a property that has a HOA, like a condo or a townhouse, we have to check the website prior to scheduling showings as to if it's even certified to get a so you can get a VA loan on it or not. So there's a lot of moving
Oh
parts of the.
wow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously. So someone who is MRP certified is really important, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, if you're kind of going that route. That's really, wow, really great advice. awesome information.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Are you a military veteran or military family member and looking to own your own business? If so, go to jdog.com and check out our two veteran focused franchises, JDog Junk Removal and Hauling and JDog Carpet Cleaning and Floor Care. Our franchisees nationwide are always looking to hire fellow veterans and patriots. JDog is the world's largest military franchise system with hundreds of locations nationwide. We are nearly 90% veteran owned with the goal of reducing the veteran unemployment rate to under 1%. Check us out. Go to jdog.com to learn more. Now, back to the podcast.
So you've done other work with some nonprofits. So you've worked with Red, White, and Blue, Mission Continues. And you told me about, I remember when we first spoke before we are recording the podcast, you talked about a surfing event. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, before I get into the surfing event, so for those of you who don't know what Team Red, White, and Blue is, it's a veteran nonprofit organization. Their main goal is to enrich the life of America's veterans through physical and social activities. So you don't actually have to be a veteran to be on a volunteer leadership. You could be a civilian. We have quite a few civilians at Team Red, White, and Blue throughout the nation. You can be a reservist, active duty. We've had a few of those as well. But the focus is to get veterans out with their communities and get them involved, because I was involved prior to COVID. And when COVID happened, as you know, it really affected the mental health of a lot of veterans. And
Yeah.
isolation was real, suicide rates went up. So I'm glad that we were able to do something. We were able to do Zoom chats during that time. Unfortunately, we couldn't do Waves of Valor. The Mission Continues was actually more for community service projects, although Team Red, White, and Blue does some as well. The Mission Continues does a mass deployment every year. They go to a city during the summer. So I went in Atlanta in 2017, and this was actually, I think it's West Side Atlanta we were in, and it was actually a very historical neighborhood because that's actually where Martin Luther King grew up. He went to church there. A lot of civil rights leaders grew up there, and it was a very hot spot for that at the time, right? So to do these like community service projects near close to where MLK grew up, where he went to school, it was so inspiring, and to meet all the people at the event was just amazing. And the locals are very happy to see people coming in and taking care of their communities. And the following year after that, 2018, they came to LA. And I actually, with Team Red, White, and Blue, when I was a leader, I said, hey, let's get involved. I was there last year with them. So we got involved two out of those 5 days with Team RWB. And I remember one lady came, it was in Watts in South Los Angeles. And
Uh-huh.
she comes out and she sees that we replanted the garden nearby in the community park. And she said, thank you guys so much for coming and helping us out and making our community safe again. And it was so inspiring to hear that from her. And we
Yeah.
all felt great as a veteran community. Now, Waves of Valor is one of the key events that Team RWB does. Now, this is mainly done in California. I'm not sure if other states do this, but it basically started in Los Angeles, Ventura, Orange County. So we have chapters there. And so we collaborate with the VA. And what we like to do is help veterans that are within the VA system learn how to surf. So it's all voluntary. They just had it about 2 weekends ago in Zuma Beach, which is borders Ventura County as well. It's still in Malibu. It's beautiful up there. Prior to COVID, we did it
Oh,
a couple
wow.
times in Santa Monica, but the problem with Santa Monica was there was no parking in Santa Monica if you've ever been there. So
Oh, oh
Zuma
gosh.
Beach is, I know, yeah, it's a tourist trap in Santa Monica, but when you go
Yeah.
up in Malibu, it is quite a drive more north, but it's so worth it because there's more parking, it's more open space, and you know, veterans are learning how to surf now. Team RWB has to do this whole military operation, literally, of getting volunteer surf coaches, volunteers, people who catch the boards, and people to put up the all the items for the event. Right, we have to have special
Right.
care and like emergency care if someone gets injured. Right, we have to have CPR people.
Sure.
It's a
Yeah.
whole thing. And then My American Legion post 283 that you brought up earlier, they actually have sponsored
Uh-huh.
every lunch for our event. So we're very grateful for them. Every year they always sponsor our lunches, and they're not too far south of where we do the event. So it's such an amazing opportunity. And I want to shout out my friend Daniel Manrique, because every year since he passed away, we actually have done like a little boat tribute for him. So he was a Marine veteran, and I don't know if you knew this story. I'm sure those of you who are tuning in probably
No.
heard this. 2018, there was a shooting in Thousand Oaks, right before Veterans Day, and he was unfortunately killed. He had gone over there at this borderline bar, and he shielded a couple people when he got there because he was supposed to meet up with our mutual friend, and he was a hero. He died a hero, but he was one of the 12 victims, and he was a big part of Team Red, White, and Blue in Ventura. He grew up in Thousand Oaks, served in
Oh,
the Marine
wow.
Corps, came back as a civilian, and wanted to do finance and was helping veterans out, and he wanted to do a lot more with us. So Waves of Valor was a big event for him. And when we lost him, I remember I couldn't go to work. I said, I need a day off. This is too much. I had seen him a week prior, but he died a hero. And every year
Mm.
since then, we've done
How
a tribute for
horrible.
him. Yeah. His family's very lovely, and, we always think about him, but we do
Mm.
a tribute for him every year to say, hey, this is a hero that we need to honor. And that's what it's all about, right? This is our veterans. They are, we're raised to
Sure.
have that hero mentality and to really be able to give back to somebody that needs it. And he did the ultimate sacrifice in that situation. So
Right. Sure. Wow, that's really neat. And this is a 1 day event that you do this?
yeah, it is. It usually starts in the morning, like 8 a.m., but we get there like 6:30, 7 a.m. to set up everything
Right.
and all
Yeah.
that. The surfboards need to be there, and it's from like 8 to like 1 or 2 p.m., just depends. But some people like to make it a whole day. You can do that too. And you get to meet
Hmm.
so many great people, and it's all different veteran organizations around the area. The Orange County chapter, while I've never been to theirs, they have probably the best location because it's Huntington Beach and it's Surf City,
Oh,
in
okay.
California, Huntington
All
Beach.
right.
So they have just a
Yeah,
great team up there too, and a lot of fellow patriots too that love this country that come out and support the veteran community. Sometimes locals will come by and say, "Oh, what's going on here?" And we like to tell them what's going on, and it raises awareness for the veterans, right?
sure, sure, definitely. That's great. Wow, I love it. Okay, so we come to the time of the revealing of your tactical treasure. I would
Oh,
love to know what you're going to share with me today.
okay. So my tactical treasure, how pretty much I get through life, right? How I get through everything.
Hmm.
It's very simple. It's prayer. It's also putting one step forward every day, right? I've done that ever since I was 18, especially when I joined the Navy at boot camp. It was a very, how do I say it? It's a cultural shock to be out of your home and going into this new environment where you're basically getting yelled at 24/7, right? But
Right. Yeah.
that has really been my tactical treasure, mainly is prayer, because I do believe in that. And
Mhm.
sometimes, and this is as dorky as this sounds, I sometimes like to say, okay, I'm in a very like fight mode if like there's something going on that like I'm not used to. Let me think I'm a Power Ranger. So this is how much of a millennial I am. I grew up watching Power Rangers. And my friends probably watching is like, oh my God, here we go.
Okay.
But it's true. Like I literally will like, okay, what did the Power Rangers do when that monster came in? Okay, so be like them, be strong, like overcome everything, right? Like little things like that, like you're in your toolbox, right? You have all these things that you can use to just
Right.
maneuver. I hope I answered the
Mhm.
question, right? Yeah. So
Of course you did. Yeah, I love it. That is an awesome tactical treasure, and I'm a huge proponent of prayer too. So, yeah, and life has does throw some tough punches, and that type of, putting your foot forward, being strong in prayer, that can really ground you, and kind of anger you as life storms rage sometimes, because sometimes they do. So
oh
I
yeah.
think that's a great treasure, and yeah, so that's really awesome, very special. I would like to ask, do you have any advice for your fellow veterans who are struggling with transition to find their way? Do you have any advice for them as to how, they sort of meld themselves into civilian life after
Mhm.
service?
That's a fantastic question. you know what? It's a couple ways you can do this. You can definitely talk to fellow nonprofit organizations like the ones I've described. There's also like Team Rubicon, there's the BFW and the American Legion. There's a lot of veterans there. Always lean to them and ask them, what did you do, right? If you're going to enroll in school, like I did, there's a veteran service organization, which get involved with them because they always have resources to the VA. In fact, the VA likes to connect with a lot of college campuses, right? Aside from
Right.
that,
Hmm.
find employers. Like there's career fairs sometimes at certain veteran facilities for transitioning members. Go to those career fairs and see what kind of jobs are there that matches your skills, right? There's so many resources more so than ever, and you're not alone in this transition. It's tough because you're like, now my way of life is going to change again. I left at 18 or whenever
Right.
it was, and thereon I have a family now, or I have, I have to go to school, I have to find a new job. There's somebody out there to help you. LinkedIn is a very powerful resource actually, and a lot of veterans should be using more
It
of that.
is.
And there's more jobs I'm seeing posted now than ever, so take advantage of that. If you need help with your resume, the good thing now with AI is that it actually helps you with writing a resume. Do it one page and just keep it straightforward. And yeah, LinkedIn has a section where you can, based on what you put, like your years of experience, your skills, it'll generate a resume for you. So lean on all that.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. AI
Mhm.
can be kind of good and scary all at the same time,
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
I remember that movie,
But
the Law movie. If you remember that one, yeah.
yeah, I do. Yeah. What
Woo.
was it called? The Eye or something? Or I don't know. Where I forget what it was.
It was Haley Joel
I don't
Osment
know.
as a
But yeah,
yeah. Yeah, AI. It was a little
yeah.
scary.
There's
It was like a
there's
Pinocchio
yeah,
style AI.
there's been a couple of weird movies about AI. Um, yeah, makes for a great horror film, I guess.
Woo.
um, so before you go, can you tell us where people can find and connect with you? And um, do you have any information on how they can begin to work with a MRP real estate agent? Do you know a resource for that or a website or something?
Yeah, if they want to connect with me, there's so many ways because I'm on all social media platforms, Johnny Aragon. And I think I'm the first one or second one. I should be the first one. I'm just joking. But yeah, and then I have a website, johnnyaragonhomes.com, which actually does have all my social links. My phone number is on Google as well. You're able to text me, call me if you have a question. As far as MRP, there is a website. So if you go to National Association of Realtors.org or NAR.org, you should be able to look for an MRP, or you can type in MRP one way or another. And there's find an MRP. You can search based on city and state. I'd recommend putting city and state, and it'll give you a list of all these realtors that are certified MRPs. I'm actually involved with a few, well, actually one more so, a resource. It's like a military veteran realtor group. Really love them to death. So if you need somebody that can help you out, I'm more than happy to refer you to an agent. We have a couple agents throughout the nation. Most more than happy to give you that referral. And they're certified MRPs. These are people that are military spouses, former veterans, active duty as well, or reservists even, right? So there's tons of ways that
Yeah.
you can find an MRP if you're looking to use your VA loan. And rates are better under a VA loan. So take advantage if you can. And zero down.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are
zero.
better under a VA loan.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially right
Definitely can speak to that. Yeah.
now. Oh yeah.
Johnny, this has been really great. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that you did. And this has been awesome speaking with you. And thank you so much for all your advice and the information about, working with an MRP real estate. It's been really wonderful. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Tracy. And thank you to everybody who served. Really, I truly appreciate your service. Always here for you no matter what. And may y'all take care and God bless you all. Thank you again.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. We just finished up an amazing conversation with Johnny Aragon, who is a 5-year U.S. Navy veteran and is now a real estate agent with Caldwell Banker in Pasadena, California. He has the Military Relocation Professional Certification, and that is for real estate professionals who want to work with current and former military service members. The program educates realtors to help service members and their families and veterans find housing solutions that best suit their needs and make sure that they take full advantage of available benefits and support. Realtors with the MRP certification have an understanding of the processes and procedures involved in a military relocation and how these impact service members' relocation and housing choices. They have the ability to provide information to help members through a rent or buy, sell or rent decision-making process. For more information and to find an MRP certified real estate agent in your area, go to mrp.realtor or nar.org. And veterans or military families, if you are located in the Pasadena, California area, be sure to reach out to Johnny at johnny.aragon, and I'll spell that Aragon, at cbrealty.com or johnnyaragonhomes.com. Thanks for joining us and tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. And don't forget, you can find us on all your podcast streaming platforms, as well as Vet TV, American Grit, and our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Reese Across America Radio on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed that, please join us for the encore on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We are also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTSD. You can donate right now at reaseacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.